positions where the higher we go up, we not doing the day-to-day work. Like we are managing the work, which looks totally different than the day-to-day work.
Welcome to Letting Go with Grace. I'm Dr. Tasha.
And I'm Portia. We're family.
We want to share our relationship with you. This is a safe space where no topic's off limits. We're successful, ambitious women wrapped in Black girl magic, and we're on a mission to have it all. Love, peace, and the freedom to be authentic.
We let go of control and judgment, learning to give ourselves grace as we implement biblical principles to do life God's way.
So, Portia, you ready?
I'm ready. What about you? Are you ready?
Ready to let go.
Yeah. I went days and pieces and days. I didn't go to the whole thing, but it was about profit pivot for counselors being able to scale up your business. And they were just talking about the beauty of AI, right? And so it's this chat thing that they gave where you can do for blogs. Like, say, if I want to do how to find peace when your husband won't do his honey-do list, right? Like, if I could just put that out there, the AI chat will come up with like these, like it'll
I heard about it.
Tools. Like, people are using this for their paper.
I heard it. I heard about that at Daniel's Den. They was like, you can say anything, it'll give you all the tools. So it was like, you don't have to guess anymore where to find stuff. You just tell it what you want, and it pulls the tools for you. I can't remember what they called it though. What did you call it?
It's called Chat PT, something like that. I don't know. Anyways, I downloaded it and I'm like, okay, because it allows you to blog. It allows you to blog. And so this is it's called Haro, right? Because it's like you need to start being a published writer. So she's like, so just talk about what you know. And so it's there's journalists out there from like all types of papers, like from everywhere, who want to know, like, we need experts on this. Can you tell me about this? And so what you do is you'll just submit your little blurb, but like they using the chat thing, and then they'll fact check it and then kind of add their expertise into it. But she's like, it takes like 10 minutes. Yeah. And she's like, and then what's happening is you're getting credit, like, because now you can say article published in Essence, article published in Forbes, article published in.
Yes. AI is like pulling your resources for you.
Yes.
Listen, it's like going to the library and spending 12 hours, but actually being able to do it in less than 5 minutes. Like, that's what it's doing. They were talking, they was like, you got to get this tool because you don't even have to search for resources no more. It searches for the resources for you. I was like, this is bananas.
Yeah. Yeah. And the only thing is, and I'm glad she said, right, because I can see a lot of people doing it. And my thing is it giving everybody the same information? Right. So,
it makes everybody the expert. So that's the thing that kind of, when they were talking about it, I said, okay, so what it does now is it takes a mediocre individual, and I don't mean mediocre as a negative, but someone who don't have any educational background or expertise,
haven't done the work,
and you go in and you say what you and I would say, and get the same information, and now you can go and discuss topics that you have no experience in just based on the resources that just came to you. Like, that was the scary part. And I heard somebody talking about the controversy with AI, and that's the controversy. The problem is everybody becomes the expert and there's no limits to it. Mm-hmm. So that means everybody in the world think they're the smartest person in the world because
nobody did no work.
Ain't nobody did no, you don't have to do no work. Jayla could go in on the bot, say whatever she want to say. As long as she can read and comprehend, she becomes the expert at 10.
No, and you know what? Because I just had this long, like, I was like, Lord Jesus, like, I'm just having friction. Like, I think like the what's the little pad called that you wash dishes with?
Brillo pad, the Brillo.
Yeah, the Brillo. Like, I'm just being Brillo pad to death over here. Because Bianca, like, she is at this place in her life. And a lot of it's DNA, I believe,
Mhm.
where
Mhm.
if it's hard,
She don't want to
she
do it.
don't want no parts of it. Uh, if she not supposed to do it, she want to do it.
Mhm.
So she want to take her LPS to school, and I'm saying, I said, the teacher said that you're not supposed to do that. That she don't want y'all bringing y'all toys to school. Well, she want to know if it's in my backpack. I said, okay. I said, well, so we went through the whole integrity thing. And I said, so, you get to choose. Do you want to be a person of integrity or not? She was like, nope, I want to take my LPS.
Tell the truth and shame the devil. You hear me? No, I really just want
said,
to take it, Mom.
I said, okay. I said, that's perfectly fine. I said, but what I need you to know is that when you operate that way, there's consequences. I said, so if your teacher find them in your bag and she call me and tell me, then you won't get to get your phone for the rest of the month. And if you won't have that consequence, then you do what you want to do. But it was still a part of me like, girl, take the LPS out the bag. But I was like, no, I'm gonna let her take them. I'm gonna let her take them. And so
And
now she,
there's this controversy about that type of parenting style.
mhm,
Because
mhm,
um, I was talking about that with a friend just the other day, and I was saying that like I believe that each individual has to suffer their own consequence, and if I take away your ability to suffer your consequence, then you don't learn the lesson. So rather than, like you were saying, controlling the situation by snatching the thing out the bag, right? Which was, I think, the historical way of parenting in a black family. You're just not gonna do what I told you weren't gonna do. I don't care how you feel about it. To okay, go ahead and take it and suffer whatever consequence you might get. It's more like, are you really parenting if you allow them to do it knowing, you know what I mean? Like, you're the parent, control the situation, tell them not. Because I did just this the other day with Jayla, because she wanted to take, I had bought her a Legos, a Porsche. She put them big ones together.
mhm, mhm.
So she had put a Porsche together. She wanted to take it to school. And I said, Jayla, you don't need to take that Porsche to school because it's flimsy. And if you start moving it too much, the pieces are going to start breaking off of it. No, Mom, it's not going to happen. I said, I'm telling you. I said, it took a long time for you to put that thing together. If you take it to school, it's going to break. No, it's not, Mom. No, I said, okay, take it to school. Go ahead. Take it to school. That's fine. And she called me at the end of the day crying. You were right. It broke. It's in a bag. I was like,
I'm like, oh, okay.
I told you that if you took it, it was gonna. You were right, Mom. So then it was like, why didn't you just make her leave it at home? It's her toy. She break it into pieces because she don't want to listen. That's her consequence for not listening. Not, I'm not being a parent because I let her take it. I'm being a parent because I did. Like, it's just a different mentality, a different
Yeah,
twist on parenting that some people be like, that ain't
that ain't
parenting.
parenting. Yeah.
Mhm.
And you know what else I think? Because I just think about all of just the things that I have suffered because of that type of parenting. And not saying that this type of parenting ain't gonna have no consequences either,
I
right?
think all of them will. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But I just think about the fear-based thoughts that I have. Um, Even in the last couple of weeks on this, like it's ambition, which is good, but my ambition can become I don't want to say I'll start this word. It's called vain ambition,
Hmm. Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And I think it can toddle over there because I have this mentality that if it's not hard, it's not worth it. And
Yeah.
that comes from the way I was parented, right? Like, you work hard, you do. If you weren't working hard, and if it seems too easy, you're not doing enough. Um, and so I just think about like all the people that I work with and all of these beliefs that have them stuck and got a chokehold on their life because it was the not getting a choice and figuring out the consequences, which just gives you life lessons. Like, you just learn, like, okay, man, I want to do that no more. I didn't like that. Okay.
Right. Oh my gosh. It is so true. Because I think about now, um, in my current role, I have gotten to a place after being there for 5 years. Usually it's the 5 year mark where things get easy
Mm-hmm.
because you've been doing it. So it's like super easy. And I feel myself like, I'm not doing my job. I'm not doing enough. I need to be doing more. I need a different job. I need to be doing. It's that what you just said. If I'm not trying and it's not stressing me out and I ain't got headaches at the end of the day, this can't be right. Like I
Yeah.
need to be doing. I'm not working if I'm not stressing. If I'm not putting in these hours, like having hours in between meetings seem like I'm just not working. And I guess it does come from, like, you just never know. Like, I didn't realize that it would come from that. If you ain't doing, then you ain't working and it ain't worth
Mm-hmm.
it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yep.
wow. That was
Yep.
like kind of a light bulb because I'm like, and every time it get easy for me, I gotta move
Switch it up. Yep.
every
And that's
time.
and that's their mentality. And I just think about, like, at the end of the day, that was the whole purpose. One, that was the whole purpose of my parents pushing me to go to school, because they wanted to be better for me. And because we do have these degrees, it does put us in positions where the higher we go up, we not doing the day-to-day work. Like, we are managing the work, which looks totally different than the day-to-day work. And
Yeah,
then you get in your head, right? Especially if you start telling people what you do, but you get in your head like, well, maybe I'm not doing enough. And that's the season that I'm in right now, right? Because I'm in both, right? I'm trying to build and scale while also managing. And I'm trying to learn what this balance looks like. I also believe that I'm getting a lesson in working with people, right? It was a reason I never went into upper management when I worked for other people, because I did not want to deal with people. Like, I was like, I would rather deal with probationers all day long than deal with probation officers,
mm-hmm.
right? Because for
Mm-hmm.
me, probation officers would be way worse than dealing with probationers. Like, at least the probationers, like, I know what I'm dealing with. Like, we good. I see you, you see me. But it's all this lack of self-awareness of these probation officers that I don't want to deal with.
Man,
Like,
yeah.
they know they committed a crime. They know they're on probation. Like, it's a lot of no, and y'all don't know. And so what I didn't realize is that I could see how I did myself a disservice. But what I'm learning about myself is that I don't work well with people. Okay, and maybe I'm gonna say that the other way. My tolerance, my tolerance, and it goes back to my childhood, right? My daddy was really flexible, but my mama was really black and white. Like,
Mhm.
this, and I appreciate it because it has given me a skill set that many don't have.
Correct.
But then, because I have the skill set, right?
Hmm.
My expectations is that other people
Everybody
have
else
this
have the
skill,
same skill set. Hmm. Hmm.
and that has done me a disservice as I begin to scale. And so, like, I had like these bursts of ideas, and I feel like right now God is like, hold on, because I'm about to bring some people to help you,
Hmm.
and you don't have to know how to work with these people, right?
Yeah.
You got to be able to retain these people.
Right. We need some. We need some. What? Some. What people? We need some how people.
Yeah, but you're gonna have to know how to retain these people, and you can't be getting frustrated because they work at the look different than yours. Because you'll
It's
got
that's
like,
a that's the hardest part about people leading is that nobody's the same.
yeah, and
Yeah.
so that is, oh Jesus, I am that's what I'm trying to figure out, because I'm like, I really don't know. Like, I'm really trying to figure this out, because I'm like, if something needs to be done, like, my expectations is, if I'm paying you, like, give me your, so I this is what I'm learning, right? Give me your timeline,
Hmm.
and then I need it done when you say it's gonna be done. Like,
That
if
part.
I'm
There's nothing
waiting
wrong
for
with that.
your piece, yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong
But
with
I'm
that.
trying to figure out maybe how to say that in a more
Yeah, you know what's so crazy is that my upbringing leaned in the favor of people leading. So because of the development of people pleasing, like I grew up kind of being able to watch people and identify what they wanted and what they didn't want without them knowing I was paying attention, and leaning into the parts that they wanted and moving away from the things they didn't want. And it was a skill. So when I got into people leading, it was easy for me because my first thought was go to what you know. And what I knew was, okay, I got a team of 20 and all these people are different. My first task is to identify the strengths and weaknesses, what's going to make them produce, what's going to make them fall back. And that's where I started. I started watching the team like, okay, she don't do well around them. Or, he does way better when he's doing this. And then I started like, okay, here, boom, this is your strength. Boom, 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 boom. Start giving them the things that they loved and the parts of them that empowered them because I was paying attention. I knew what to say. So if I had one and like I had one who was she was a only child. She considered herself an oddball is what how she would identify herself as an oddball. And when she would identify herself that way, it would make her retreat and then her productivity would go down. So what I learned was, okay, I go in here, spin her oddball from a negative to a positive. And now she's not an oddball, she's a unicorn. And she's the colorful piece of the team. And before you know it, she's flourishing in the identity of being the unicorn and not the oddball. And as a result, her productivity just shifts. So my upbringing helped me with people leading because I was able to impact them in a way that some people wouldn't because some leaders weren't paying that close attention to figure those things out.
Yeah.
So it's crazy how
Yes.
how
Makes
it
a
helps
difference.
you and how it hinders you. And then of course moving away from management into a director level, I don't have the day-to-day interaction with the staff now, right? So now I have to learn a new skill. Much like you, we're kind of going in reverse where I have to learn the skill of not interacting with the team but still making impact. And it calls for a different skill that I have to now learn because I can go in to meetings with my team and within 3 or 4 minutes everybody's morale is heightened because I know what to say when I get in there. I know what to say. I know how to respond. I know how to react because I'm in there with people. That's not easy when you're not responsible for being in the meeting.
Yeah.
And I got to somehow empower the manager to do what I would do if I was walking in. That's a totally different skill set. So it's so what I'm saying is like we're like our upbringing, like moved us into certain spaces, but then at some point we all have to pivot and learn a new skill in order to see the new level.
For the impact and the influence.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Because as you are talking, what came to my mind, right? When I worked in the jail, I had to learn it, right? I did have to learn it. Because my default is black and white, like just but I learned how to read the room, right? I learned how people would see themselves, their beliefs about themselves, and then how it caused them to show up in group, right? And so I was able to start like, this is the place that I'm gonna inject. I'm gonna gas you up on this. Like, you are the expert of this. You become the expert of this. And then those other places, right? Now, how do we change the narrative in there? And so what I'm realizing is that possibly as my team grows, it's beneficial for me to be, there's something about the in-person contact as I grow my team. Like, this it's beneficial because there's only so much read. Because even with my assistant now, like we meet weekly, and like I may just do a meeting but it's just something that I can't read, right? Because she just trying to do the day-to-day task because she knows, like, I believe in excellence. I believe in, like, don't send, like, check your stuff, double check it. Don't send it to me unless you checked it, and like, I don't want to have to go back and edit it.
Right.
Take care of it. Um, and so I know that sometimes she has this nervous energy, and I'm okay with that because I believe in excellence, and I don't want anything leaving with Chosen's name on it, and it's not done in excellence. But then there's another part that when she comes in on Friday, where we just get to be just two women talking about business, and I get to know more about her personality, and so what I'm hearing is, as I'm scaling my business, the impact, the way that I influence people, when it comes from like my beliefs, my background, how I was raised, and then being able to pivot and learn new tools and new skills, so that you have a bigger impact on people, so that then they can impact, and now we imprint, right?
Yeah, that's good. The face to face is always, I don't think I would have been able to really read my team without having that time to really get to know them.
Yeah.
It's probably the most important piece, but I have that issue now because I meet with my managers weekly too. But you can't see their faces. You can't read their body energy. Like you can't read a room that you're not sitting in. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And so it's like you gotta have that time where we can sit and I can feel what you feeling and see what you, because like one of my managers, I can tell now she's kind of getting exhausted from the conversations, not from the conversations that she's saying about her, but what she telling me about her team tells me she's exhausted. Because I'm like, you think you're telling me about your team, but you actually telling me about you, not your team at all. It's you. And they're feeling the impact of your emotions, how you feeling about work, and they're responding. Because, and the reason why I know that is because when I bring energy into the room, the team has energy. When I bring exhaustion to the room, the
The
team
team
has
has
exhaustion because they
exhaustion.
feeding off my leadership. And so she feels like she's telling me about her team, and I'm saying that ain't them, that's you. That's your exhaustion showing up and ultimately pulling at them. You need to be putting something into them. So if you don't have it to put into them, then that's where you come to me. Like you running on an empty tank, and now the team's running on an empty tank, and it's just this trickle. So we got to fix that. So that's what. And now it's like we need one-on-one time because now I need to put some fuel in you.
Yeah, so that you can take it back to the team.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's such a balance, and like I mean, God knew what He was doing with people, but it's just there's so many complexities with individual people.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I was, so I'm reading out of Nehemiah. Just because I do feel like I'm doing this shift, right? And it's frustrating and I'm grateful at the same time, right? Because I'm like, I was on pedal metal, let's go, right? And then God was like, I feel like in this moment, God, like, we still going, just not the way you thought we was going. You're still going. Like, this is all necessary. And so I'm like, okay, I need to stop. And just like, okay, God, I need a download. Like, I need specifics on what you need me working on and how you need me working on it. Because right now my feelings and everything. And so two things that I'm learning. Like I'm on this impact and influence is stuck in my head. So I guess we're gonna title this episode "Impact and Influence."
Okay.
Proverbs 27:17, and it's right, not crazy, not a coincidence. I know God know what He doing. Same scripture that Shan came from in our Bible study with the topic "Her Stage." As iron sharpens iron, so a friend sharpens a friend. And so I was just thinking about that as I was reading Nehemiah, because I was just saying, like, I just feel like I have a double mind. Like, million times during the day. Like there are times in the day where I'm like, no, 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 God, okay, you told me to do it. Even though it don't look like it's gonna happen in all these areas of my life. Uh, baby girl she acting up. She got a lot, like it's just a lot happening. But I'm like, you told me to do it, and I'm just gonna obey because I trust you, and I trust that you gonna work it out for my good, and I trust that you see me and you know what I need, and it's gonna be more than I can ever imagine. I trust it. And then 5 minutes later, I'm like, Jesus, look, I said I trust you, but you sure we doing this? Like, you sure that you told me the whole time? And so I have like this double-minded, right? And so I was reading. I didn't even get to it was just where when you go to the Bible, it kind of explains the book. Like, I didn't even get past that. Like, I didn't even get to chapter 1 of Nehemiah. But it was just talking about like the purpose of the book of Nehemiah, and what Nehemiah's goal was, right, is to go back and build the wall for Jerusalem. And it's this part, it says the walk of faith is a balanced blend of prayer and action. Nehemiah prayed and then put his request before the king. He prayed and then posted a guard day and night. He exhorted the people to remember the Lord. And so it was like Nehemiah was doing both. He was praying and doing, right? And so that was the one. And then it talked about the opposition of the enemy and spiritual warfare. And I think that a lot of times we do forget that a lot of this is spiritual warfare, and Satan will use whoever he can to create this warfare. And so it talks about that the spiritual warfare and opposition of the enemy is inevitable. So when people are doing the work of God, Satan's purpose is to destroy God's people and God's work. And so it talks about the tactics that he used in Nehemiah, which is ridicule, slander, opposition from within and without, which is, I felt like that was really important. Oppression, unrighteousness, discouragement, demoralization, distraction, and physical threat. So that's two. So knowing that, right? And then the third thing was Nehemiah combated these tactics with continual prayer. Single-mindedness, right? And so I'm like, okay, what that mean? Single-mindedness, like how you do that? Wisdom and righteous living. And so I kind of felt like that, like we talking about impact and influence. And I believe like a lot of people, like just the spaces that I'm in, a lot of people are pivoting. Like we are pivoting tax brackets. We're moving from working for other people to, even if you're working for other people, right? Working for other people and creating your own lanes, trying to build this legacy, right? And it just looks different for a lot of women, men as well, but for a lot of women, it's just life is different for women. And I think that in this space and time, we have the ability to make impact, and we have the platforms, and then we got AI, and then we got, right. So we have the ability to make to influence people, to make an impact on people. And I'm saying, like, God, I feel like the pull is on me, right? And I feel like the rocket about to take off. And so I understand, like, there are some things that you are saying, like, I gotta bring situations that impact you, right? So that you can understand how you're influencing a room. Right. So that I can start to tweak some of these things. I ain't asking you to do nothing, so get out of it. I'm gonna do it. Right. But I need you to see that this is how you're showing up. Self-awareness.
Yeah.
Because if you're self-aware, you can manage it. And if you can manage it, then you understand relationships, and then you can manage relationships. Like, so, right. So what
like
you
the way
think?
you just said that.
Yeah.
I like the way you just said that. I feel like we just keep getting lost in what self-awareness is supposed to do for us. So I like that. Yeah, impact and influence. And the way Nehemiah did it, I don't feel like he knew. I don't feel like Nehemiah knew how he was going to do what God asked him to do. There was no time in the story where Nehemiah had all the chips in order. Matter of fact, from the beginning, when he first heard about it, it was his emotions that drove him to action, and then his action was not telegraphed. This. I think this is the piece that when we read these stories in the Bible, if you pay attention, these people don't know that they doing these things, right? They don't have a clue. Like Nehemiah didn't know how he was going to approach his king. As a matter of fact, he didn't even know that the king was the one that was going to give him the resources. Consider the fact that when he went in there, his emotions drove him into an emotional state that got the attention of the king. He didn't go in there manipulating, sad faced, trying to get the attention of the king. And, so when we read these stories and we start paying attention to it, I feel like sometimes, and maybe this is me, when I read these stories, I look like, okay, so this is what happened with Nehemiah. So this is the way it should be happening with me. I need to have on my ducks. No, God was impacting Nehemiah from the beginning to the end. It was God's plan to build the wall, not Nehemiah's. God pulled on the heartstrings of Nehemiah through people and brought him to action. Every step that Nehemiah took from that point forward was a directive from God, and Nehemiah did not know he was being led. So he didn't know that the king was going to give him the resources. As a matter of fact, the story projects the fact that he was fearful about even bringing it to the king's attention. So it wasn't like he knew. So he did tell the king, and the king gave him the resources. I'm sure Nehemiah was just as surprised as us when he got it, right? He was like, oh my God, he gave me everything I needed. You know what I mean? So I feel like it's we paying attention to these stories and we start thinking about our own lives. Like the one thing that I get from the story of Nehemiah was that God moved him into action. He set the stage for every step. He moved Nehemiah in the direction necessary for him to produce what God planned. Like it wasn't the planning of Nehemiah to pray. It was the decision in the moment. This is what I need to do now because I don't know what to do. What it proved was that Nehemiah was sure that what he was doing was beyond his control.
Yeah, that's good.
That's what it proves. And so when we say Nehemiah prayed at every step, are we saying that Nehemiah had the integrity and the zeal and the desire to pray at every step? Or was he drawn into prayer at every step because he understood that this plight was bigger than what he could do?
Let me ask you this, because I agree with that. I agree that Nehemiah did not start like, I need to pray at every step.
Right.
He didn't start that way. But what I do believe, right, a couple of things. I'm going to start with the prayer, is that he prayed because he knew he could do it in his own strength. Like he was probably feeling just like me, discombobulated, like, Lord, this is a tall order. How am I doing this? But I think what happens is it curated a lifestyle.
Yes.
Right. So he's been beginning to see like, so this is how, so I pray and then I do. I pray and then I do, right? And so the first probably 5-10 times he was probably praying and never realized, and then it probably just clicked like, oh, you know what? When I pray, and then, so it's something to this, right? And so it is like the ABCs. There's an event, there's a belief, and then there's a consequence, right? And the consequences are emotions and our behaviors. And so something happens, he believes something, I can't do it. Eventually that caused him to say, okay, well, let me, probably I'm not unworthy. That's the feeling that came with it. He probably the behavior was probably, I don't want to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to procrastinate. I'm going to make it really hard. Or I'm just going to go full speed ahead and just, do it on my own. But then somewhere in this pattern, right? Because that creates a habit, our thoughts, our emotions, and then our behavior. That creates a habit, which creates a personality.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere in there, right? God was like, let me show you, just like where I am, right? This is Nehemiah is me. I am Nehemiah right now. God is saying, hold on, let me Brillo pad this, right? I need some friction. I need to cause some pain because the pain helps you seek me, right? It causes a disruption in your life. I can't, because we can get disrupted, but unless we have a pain point, what we tend to do, like we don't do something else unless it's pain. Like it has to be pain. And
Mm-hmm.
so then there Nehemiah was like, okay, you talked about that emotional impact. Like he was like, oh my God, like they doing what to these people? Oh Jesus, let me, I can't do anything now. Let me seek you. And the
Mm-hmm.
more that Nehemiah did that, what it does is it disrupts his pattern, right? And
Mm-hmm.
now it creates this person where it talks about how he combated the opposition from Satan in these attacks is now he has a lifestyle of continual prayer. He has this
Oh yeah.
single-mindedness. He's seeking wisdom, and then he's just trying to do the right thing. Like it's the God first lifestyle. He's choosing to do the right thing, even when it's hard, choosing to do the right thing. And so I think that is it, giving yourself the grace, because there's no way I can do it, you can do it. Nehemiah could have done these things on his own, and it did not happen overnight. But as I'm talking to you, I'm just thinking of other things that have been um, I've been on assignment for, right? And it has been a struggle, and all of those things happen in those beliefs and what that looks like. But then I got into this habit, right? I got into this spot where I would say, okay, let me take this to God.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm learning is that every assignment is different, because I'm learning, like, you would think like, okay, well, you got me through this whole PhD program through prayer, right? Prayer and doing. And now here I am. Why am I not taking this over here? Well, I'm learning how to take these skills, and quiet as it's kept, I don't even think I have settled in the fact that I'm done. Like it's just still this thing like
That's so as we've been talking since we started, um, that's something that's been kind of resonated on the inside of me. It's does she know she's done with that? And so because what I know from experience is like once you reach the pinnacle of a thing that you were grinding to get, when you get the thing, it's like, what am I doing next?
mm-hmm,
Because I've been grinding and grinding and grinding. There's no way that we just stop here. I've reached this thing. I've conquered this thing. Where are we going now? And
mm-hmm,
there's this desire to go more and do more because you've reached that place. And it's this I remember saying all the time when I made DO, like, am I doing it?
is it happening?
Is it happening right now? Because you have this mentality of what it's supposed to look like once it's done. And I'm like, am I doing it? Am I doing it yet? Am I doing it yet? There has to be more that I'm supposed to be doing because it's that ever moving goal. And now that
Mm-hmm.
you've reached it, it's time to, when you go oriented, I've reached the goal, it's time to create a new one. And so now you're moving your goals out, trying to figure out what the next step is. And I just wonder, because most of the time when we reach the goal, we don't even sit in it to know
Mm-mm.
that we did. It's like, okay, now what's next?
And you know what else I'm wondering? I mean, and I'm thinking about, or I have been thinking about, like every time I look at my degree, right? I just got like, it's just like I'm like, okay, I really need to go get a frame and like put this up. And they didn't put my La on the Latasha, and I'm like, I need to have them corrected as well. Right. But even that, right? Because I think what possibly there is a like you are waiting for other people. Like you kind of look how other people celebrate it to get your cues on how you celebrate it. And especially those close to you. And then you like, okay, what does it look like? Is it okay for me to celebrate it? Is it a big deal? Am I doing too much? And so you kind of take your cues from how other people celebrate it. And then you make a lot of assumptions as well, that part. And then I'm kind of thinking like, okay, what was the purpose of this guy? Like, cause I never wanted to go back to school. Like I was done at my master's. I was like, I got these licenses. That's what I was needing and I'm done. So I'm like, but guy, you were very clear about, I need you to go back to school. And yes, there were a lot of lessons about faith but I think I'm on the other side of that. Like, because I don't want to be in this rat race of, oh, I'm Dr. such and such and trying to do all the doctor stuff. Because I just that ain't never been my personality. I ain't never wanted to fit in and be like everybody else. And so I'm just like, God, I don't know the purpose of this. Like, what was the purpose of this PhD and what are we doing with it? And is it really that important? Because I think sometimes I do downplay it for others, right? Because, people will throw that in there really quick. And I think a lot of women who listen to us probably have the same thing because we goal oriented. So it's nothing for us to put a goal on our vision board and we're going to get it. Like,
we're going to get it.
Ain't no ifs, ands, and buts about it. Like, that's 4-5 years. Yeah. 1 year. Yeah, that's going to happen. I'm getting half in a year. It's going to happen. Yeah.
It gives you a point of direction, so you're focused in a direction. And so you feel like, and when your goal is done, your direction, it's almost like when you reach it, you kind of, you got there, but you're kind of looking around like, okay, so where am I? What do I go left, right? Is it forward? I know I can't go back. That's done, but do I turn here? Are we turning down this way? Are we turn? And you're just kind of sitting there like, And I'm thinking about Nehemiah's story, to go back to Nehemiah, because Nehemiah had kind of made it out of the whole exile thing. And he had a very prestigious job, working for the king, he was the cupbearer, right? Is that what he was? Yeah. Which was a very important position. He had a good job. It wasn't like he wasn't struggling, and so, he probably was doing his day-to-day task and like trying to, and I don't know, and I'm guessing, like assuming, was Nehemiah wondering, is this it for me? Like maybe settling in his position in his life, like this is what life is going to be like. And then God just kind of brought along this task that he wasn't paying attention to, obviously, because he was living his everyday life, and someone came in and he just kind of asked this random question like, hey, how's everybody doing back at home? And it was this jump in his spirit from God to say, this is what we're doing next. Now, once he got there, he could now use these skills that he had been using all this time working for the king. Now he's utilizing these skills. He probably didn't even realize he was using some of the skills that he had created or possessed, being in that position. But I wonder if that is kind of how it is as we move through life. We're so used to the goal being presented. This is the struggle I'm having right now that I talk to God about right now. I'm so used to having a goal out here to go and get that I don't even know how to live in a present moment. I don't know how. You telling me to sit in this, and I'm like, what are we doing that for? Why would I sit right here? Like, if you give me something to, to grab hold of over here, even if it's a year, 2 years, 5 years down the line, it gives me something else to focus on. Why do I need to sit in the present moment? It's like, don't sit in the past is gone. Don't get too far ahead of yourself into the future because you miss your present moment. Living your present moment, and I'm saying Yeah, but I don't want to live in my present moment. That's uncomfortable. Like,
Yeah,
why
can I
would I
say something?
do it right here?
I'm gonna say this, and then you finish. It's our harvest season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Sit down is what he keeps saying.
harvest.
Get comfortable in your chair. Have a seat. Live in your present moment. This is where you're living today. I say all the time, for me, I move like I'm running out of time. I'm running.
Mhm.
I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta do this, I gotta do this. I need to go laundry, I gotta do this, I gotta do this. I gotta hurry up. I'm
Constantly,
there early. I'm there early.
constantly.
Like, are you gonna be there early? Yes. Why would we waste time? Of course. I move like I'm running out of time. And every move that I make is like this press for time. And it's like, why are you acting like you just running out of, like, what is wrong with you? Sit down in your present moment. And I'm constantly saying, that don't give me nothing to look forward to.
And he's saying, look around. Like, I
Look
don't
up,
want you to look forward. Look around. This is your harvest season.
Tasha. This is your
Like all
harvest
the
season.
seeds, all the hard work you have put in. Girl, do you see the do you see the fruit? Do you see the flowers?
And I can honestly say, Tasha, the hardest thing to do is sit in it. And
And I think
I know he's blessed me. I see the fruits of all of my labor. I see it. I'm talking about financial stability. I'm talking about my house being placed in, literally in the moment. I can see him putting pieces together to put my house in order. And I can see the blessings on my life and all of the work that I have put in. But because I don't know how to sit down, I'm wanting to, can we start planting new seeds right now? And he's
girl,
like,
sit your butt down.
when, I remember January 29th, I wrote it in my journal. January 29th, I went into my prayer closet and he said, look up, it's about to start raining. I'm like, what? And I'm literally standing in the field like this, and I mean rain, like coming down, almost like where you could feel it in prayer. And I wrote it down the date that he said it. Look up, it's about to start raining. I'm like, okay. We hear those things from God. I didn't dismiss what he said. Okay, it's about to rain. I get it. But when the rain started falling, the first thing I wanted to do was run for the hills.
That's too much.
Run for this could not be my blessing. I got to get out of here. There is no way God is raining on me like this. I need to get the heck out of here. Running. Why? Scared. What are you afraid of? Harvest.
Oh, oh, oh,
How you
oh.
afraid of the thing you've been working hard for?
Because
Did
all we
you
know to
believe?
do is work
Tasha,
hard. That's
hear
all
this
we
right here.
learn.
Here it is. Did you believe I was gonna make it rain? Or you never believed that it was gonna rain? Portia, you didn't believe me when I told you to plant seed and I was gonna make it. You didn't believe me. And now the rain is coming and you scared to death because I'm real.
Yeah, and right, because I'm thinking like I'm thinking about your mom, I'm thinking about my mama, because they got the same work ethic. Like
They
that's why
do.
they buddies. That's why they buddies. Um, and the thing is we have learned, we have seen them just work for it. I have never once saw my mom just take a breath and be content in the here it is.
Here
And
it is.
so we get the opportunity, right? We have the same work ethic. Like our work ethic is unmatched. It is like
Oh my gosh.
you can put me beside anybody, I would be able, it
I'm
is what
going.
it is.
I'm
Yeah,
going. I'm looking at you like we in.
yeah. Let's
I'm
do
getting
this.
done with this, sis. Like
Yeah,
that's me.
yeah. Um, but what we have not learned is how, because we've learned about faith, like we trust God. They're gonna tell us to pray, they're gonna tell us to trust God, but I really ain't never seen my mama trust God. And that ain't no shade.
No
right?
shade.
It just talks about the mentality of the scarcity mentality. It's not enough. And now we living in the abundance, and we have to create a mindset that allows us to be present in this
Gosh,
abundance.
it's so deep. When you just said, I never saw my mama really trust God. Because in their mind, that's what they were doing. In their hearts, that's what they believed they were doing. But the truth is, they were trusting themselves, their ability to move, and they were using God as the strength to catapult themselves. It was never really a let go and let God situation. It was more like, God, I need you to give me the strength to move. So the truth was, I trust God to undergird me so I can move. I've never actually trusted God to move. Like, it's not that. And so now here we sit, like we're talking about, you sitting in the harvest and God saying, take it all in. And you're saying, heck no, because I know, like, this is me. I ain't taking this in. I'm not going to sit up in this. Because I know that there is seed time and harvest. And my harvest is about to leave, and I need to be prepared for my seed season. So ain't no point in sitting here all basking in the ambiance, right?
Yeah.
I need to prepare for things to go wrong. Tasha.
And who am I to deserve this?
Who
Who
am
am I
I?
to, while I'm preparing to go wrong, who am I to deserve
And I'm like,
this?
look at me, God.
Yeah.
Look at me. I'm a whole mess. What are you talking about, harvest? What are you? And it's like, no, this is the real deal. This is the thing. My harvest has ease. Take my yoke and learn from me. And there is this ease that happens, and I can't even get comfortable in my seat because I have time. And it's like, I got time. What you want me to do with my time? Have a seat, take a break, rest, go to sleep. Understand that my harvest has ease. There's ease to my harvest. You're making your harvest season hard for no reason.
Gary, get out of my house.
Tasha,
Get out of my house.
he's like, sit down. I told you I was gonna make it rain. You just didn't believe me.
Oh man, that's crazy because you talk about ease, and that's what when this whole journey started, like that is what God spoke. He's like, I'm gonna give you a season of ease. And my mind, I will take it and be like, okay, let's misinterpret this whole thing, but that's what it is, right? The spirit of ease, or even the abundance, right? The mindset to receive abundance, is one realizing that yes, I'm his daughter. He sees me. The God who sees me, Elroy, I believe it is, right? He sees me. I am his. I am worthy, and He has undergirded me. He has given me the strength to complete the last task. Now it's harvest time. Now I'm looking at it, and there is some work because I gotta go get the fruit, right? I gotta go get the fruit, but it's there is a spirit of ease on this. Right? It's not about me working in my own strength. I think, and I just go back to Nehemiah, right? It's the wisdom, right?
The wisdom.
What's the wise way to collect my fruit?
That part. Get
right.
you some resources. Nehemiah did not go try to build a wall by himself. He's like, let me gather this team because I ain't strong enough to do. Could you imagine? We see Nehemiah's story. We see him making decisions. But if you allow yourself to get into Nehemiah's body and embody his character, he has all the men that have all the skills. He is, if you could imagine yourself walking in the midst of this wall being built, Nehemiah is not using his hands. Nehemiah is using his mind.
Oh, that's good.
And Nehemiah is walking, he's paying attention, and people are asking him questions and he's making decisions.
That's good.
He's not toiling. He's not up trying to build the wall with them. You never hear them say Nehemiah picked up a weapon. He instructed the men to pick up weapons.
That's good.
Nehemiah, the only action you see Nehemiah doing is this.
Come on. Come
I'm
on,
just
leaders.
saying.
Yes. Come
Nehemiah
on.
is praying and deciding. He's praying and deciding. He's praying and deciding. He's not toiling. So when we think about Nehemiah's story, we talk about this is the leadership book. This is the story of a great leader. How did Nehemiah lead? He did not toil. He made decisions, wise ones. And they were not decisions of his own. We know that because he prayed. And then he made a decision, which means he didn't make a decision. Nehemiah never made a decision in this whole thing. The decisions were being made for Nehemiah. He just was going to the right place to get them. And then he was speaking the word amongst people. But if you allow yourself to get into his body, there was no toil.
Yeah.
There was no doing.
And I think because that the chapter 1 starts out with his emotional response. Like, so, when they come and tell him, it's like when he heard these things, he sat down and he wept for days. Right. So he had this emotional response, but he didn't operate out of these emotions. And I think a lot of times we are operating out of our emotions. And so, two things, it's okay to have the emotion. Right.
You need
We
it.
don't have these emotions.
Your emotions
we
is what
need
triggers your action. Yeah.
Yes. But and I think that's the self-awareness, being aware of what beliefs. So what did he believe about the situation that was happening? And I think it says, hold on, what did he believe about it to trigger this sadness, right? And then his behavior was to go to God in prayer. He mourned, he prayed, and he fasted. And so I think that just going back to the self-awareness, if you aren't aware of how you are showing up in your emotions, what beliefs that are creating these emotions that are then fueling your behaviors, if you don't have that awareness, then it's hard to be a leader because you are just responding off of emotions and people are experiencing you. And that's what I'm learning, right? Like, people are experiencing, like, because I'm like, things need to be done, but they need to be done. And it's creating this emotion of I get not disappointment. What's the word I'm looking for? Oh God, what's the word? Frustrated. Dang. I get frustrated, right? And then in my frustration, my behavior is really black. Like, I will default to black and white. Like, you need to do this, you need to do this, and you need to do this. But I need to know that about myself, right? Not to like good, bad, right, or wrong, because there's a place for that, right? I believe God built that in me for a reason.
Right.
But on the other side, to balance that out, what I'm learning to do in this season, even in my home, right? It goes back to that story of Bianca. Choices and consequences. Hey, this is what needs to happen, right? And so instead of getting frustrated, because the frustration, that information tells me that I'm having unrealistic expectations for people. I know that, right? And so now I'm able to say, like, okay, Bianca's 9. What is realistically, what should I be expecting? Right? Even as a leader, I know my people. Realistically, what should I be expecting from each individual? Right?
Yeah.
And now, how do I come back and balance? Right? Like, hey, this is what needs to be done. This is the timeline. And then there's consequences for not getting it done. And I'm not saying, oh, there's consequences. There's just consequences, right? Like, you working for me, right? And if you're not having it done in this time, then you know what? Maybe just, you're not a good fit for the team, and that's okay, right?
Yeah.
Nehemiah.
Yeah, Nehemiah is I don't know, it's just a deeper way of looking at it. I didn't even, you don't think about, we think about the holistic part of the story, like this is what Nehemiah done. But when you allow yourself to really sit down in those characters and be like, what were they feeling? Like, I feel like that's the part of these stories we've been missing. We just gloss over them as human beings and see them as characters in a book.
Mm-hmm.
That's what, and I feel like the Old Testament was to teach us the full gamut of it. Like really let yourself sit down in these situations and and you will see the parallels once you do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, okay, now I understand, what could have been happening for them or how it may have felt, that kind of thing. Because we missed that. I think we missed
Yeah.
that. We want to black and white it so bad. Like, okay, the 5 steps to working like Nehemiah. You write down the 5. I need to do this, 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 and this. And he's like, you missed a very vital component. Nehemiah was called by God to accomplish the goal.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't start there, then these 5 don't even matter.
Yeah. Mm. So your
That's
impact and your influence is knowing that you are called by God to accomplish the goals. And so we have given a lot of steps, a lot of tools, but that is the meat of it all.
the meat of it is this. If the task was not ordained by God, it's going to be really hard to follow the steps because
Yeah.
you'll be following those steps in your own strength. So that's why they like when they tell you to get in your own lane, be authentic, let the call of God come to you so that you're moving in obedience rather than trying to run somebody else's race.
Cool. Can I just
Because
say that? Yeah. Go ahead.
yeah, that's what that's the reason. That's the reason why you can't just take the steps and just apply them to your life because if you do that, then you're doing that out of your own strength and you really need God, you need God's command in order for you to know that you're doing what he told you to do.
And that's gonna take some faith, right?
It
That's
is.
that's 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 the part that our moms didn't get taught, right? Is that takes faith. Like that
Mhm.
takes God, I believe what you said about my life. When you said it was gonna rain, you said it was gonna be a season of ease. I believe that.
I believe what you said. I don't know how to do it, and you know that. I don't have a clue how to do this, but I believe what you said. I believe that that was you. Like there's no doubt in my mind that that was you. And I trust you. Now help me to sit in the position you asking me to sit in at the time you're asking me to sit. Because there's a reason you need me to sit down.
Yeah. Because he got me up here sitting too, girl. And I'm like,
And see,
I'm, I'm like Ricky Bobby on Talladega Nights. Look, what do I do with my hands? Like,
what girl, I just said that the other day. I don't know what to do with my hands. what do I do with my hands? They're not moving. I'm just gonna do laundry. Like you're just trying to figure it out. And I think he knew that though. Just like
yeah.
he know we don't give God enough credit.
Mm-mm.
God ain't no dummy. He knew who he was messing with when it's like, I know who you are. You think I don't know who you are? You think I
Yeah.
put you in a position and I don't know you? I know you better than you know you. I knew you was going to struggle with this. Like, where's your heart?
Oh my God. Girl, if I could I just want to like turn the computer to my board and I have like heart posture. Check your
Where,
heart posture.
and I feel like that's the check that he keeps doing to me. Where's your heart at? At the core of who you are, what do you really want? Okay.
That's good.
Where's your heart? Because you antsy because you don't know no better.
It's about to lose your mind.
You don't know no better. You don't. This is what I was just talking to my therapist yesterday, and that's what she was saying. You are responding the way you know how to respond. Everybody around you is responding the only way that they know how, and they're reasoning this out the best way that they possibly can. And you have to understand that everybody's not in the same space.
Mm-mm.
And the only ability that they have to reason this out is what they currently have.
That's it.
That's it. You got to be okay with that, whether it's you or them.
Mm-hmm.
There's
And
only
everybody
there's
not self-aware.
everybody not self aware, and even in your self awareness, just because you're self aware, don't mean you know what to do different.
Yeah,
Like that's what
that part. Because now we got to get to the self-management, right?
that part.
And that's God's part anyway. Like because the way I manage this is the way I know how to do it. And God is saying, like, that's why I need you to be still, because I want to show you a different way to manage. Like, I want to disrupt, right, the pain patterns, the trauma patterns. I want to disrupt it so I can show you a better way. And that's what letting go is all about, right? It is just letting go of the way that we have been responding to life out of pain and out of trauma. And God is giving us a new perspective. He's saying, well, you let go of what you believe you know is right and follow me, because I have a better way.
A better way.
Right? This way I'm talking about is what more than you can even imagine.
And it is.
I need you to be aware, but I'm going to give you some new tools to manage your life so that you can experience this abundance. Right. The rain. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
It's so crazy. So, and it's just like, where's your heart? Check your heart. Check your heart. Every minute, check your heart. Check your heart.
Good.
Check your heart.
That is so good.
If you can do that, I can guide you. If you can check your heart, I can guide you.
Yeah.
I can guide you along this path as long as your posture's towards me.
And the honesty, right? I think that's step one of AA. And now, okay, we're gonna wrap this up. The step one of AA, right? Of any step program is honesty. And I think that we have to be honest where our hearts are, and that's not always easy to admit. That my heart is like, no, I want the money. Like I'm trying to be a millionaire, right? I want and I don't think what I'm learning is like, God is like, I already know that. Like, that's why I'm telling you to check it. Like, ain't no shame. Don't be shame. Like, I want you to be like, I don't want you struggling financially either, but you can't do this from
that place.
From that place.
But you can't. I was in a mentoring session yesterday, a one-on-one, and that's what I was gathering from the mentee. You don't want to say what it is you really want, and I don't know why. Tell me what it is that you really want. And in her conversation, I could tell really what she wanted to do was be on the platform. I want to be the president, CEO. Like, I want them to be calling my name. Like, but she was struggling with being able to say, oh no, I just kind of want to impact people. I'm like, that ain't what I hear. What is it that you really want? What have you set your eyes on? Tell me what it is. What's the title you're looking for? What's the role? How do people look at you? How do they receive you when you walk into a room? What is it that you're looking like? What you really looking for? And you're right. To be able to say, oh, I want to be like, the CEO. I want to be able to walk on the stage like that and people see me and are impacted and driven to motivation. And it's hard for people to tell the truth. So she struggled. I mean, she's like, I just want to be good for my team. And I'm like, nah, that ain't what I hear.
That's cute. It's this I don't know her name, but I tell you, like, she go hard. I was like, I think I did her as my personal trainer. But that's what she is. She a personal trainer. She, but she was like, tell me what is it that you want? And people are like, oh, I just want to be healthy. She's like, quit, no, stop lying. You want to be fine. You want to be out there in this 2-piece this summer. You want to have a body like Lori Harvey. Just quit telling me you just want to be healthy.
Right. Tell the truth and shame the devil, like my mama used to say. Tell the truth and shame the devil. Stop it. I told her, when I came into this organization, I seen myself on a private jet heading to St. Louis, which is the organization CEO of the entire company. That's what I saw. And that's what I wanted. I didn't know how I was going to get there, but that's what I wanted. She's like, I wasn't even think about no people when I walked in here. There was nobody on that private jet.
I love the people
with me but me. Okay, I was on the private jet. That was me, and with my briefcase and my 2-piece suit on. That's what I saw. So if that's what you see, tell the truth. That's what you see. Tell the truth. And it's hard. It's hard to tell the truth. It's hard to tell the truth.
It is. No, it is. But it doesn't have to be, right?
It don't have to be.
My hopes is that this platform gives us the ability and sets the atmosphere. But we taking off the mask, right? And it's a safe place.
Take off that cake.
But we can just tell the truth. Like, no, like I'm with you. Like, I see the private jet with Chosen on it, and like I see it, I want it. Like those are, but and God is saying, okay, okay, you honest that okay, now let's get your heart posture right because you can't impact people from this place. I'm okay with you wanting it, but let's check your heart posture, and then I need you to be doing what I'm telling you to do because your little like yeah, they big dreams, but your little dreams, what I got for you, don't even compare.
Man, and when he tells you to submit what you just asked for to him, he done that to me. He was like, okay, now I need you to choose me. I know what you want. Now choose me. If you
Wow.
choose me, I will give you all that plus. But I need you in this moment to decide. And I'm talking about a true moment where God asked me to choose him instead of my ambition. And to be 100% honest, it was the hardest decision I've ever made in my life because I believed that I could do it.
Mm,
I
no,
believed
that's
that I
good.
had the blueprint. I could do it. All I got to do is do this and this and this and this. And when he said to me in a shower, no lie, choose me or choose your ambition. That's what he said.
Oh, that's
And
good.
and in tears, I said, I choose you.
Oh
And
man,
let me tell you, he gave me that plus because I chose him in that moment. But I didn't know what he was asking me. I didn't know what he was gonna do with it. That
no, that's good.
me releasing my ambition to me was letting go of what I believed I deserved in that moment. And it was a very hard choice. I'll be
No, that's
very
good.
honest. Because I ain't know what he was gonna do. Like if I choose you, what does that mean? We're gonna stay right here. I ain't gonna get to go do it. Like it could mean anything if I choose you.
Because I believe in myself more than I believe in you. Like that's what we just said.
Gosh, that's
That's
the
what we
truth.
got. That's
I
what we got.
believed in myself. I knew I could do it. So for him to say submit what you want to me meant that I had to let go of what I thought I could do. And I kid you not, true story. The moment I chose him, he took the reins, and when he made it happen in 3 years, not 5. He made it
Mm,
happen in such a way that the benefit, the reaping of it, not only did he give me the title, but he gave me the team, he gave me the leadership, he gave me the influence, he gave me the impact, he gave me the finances, he gave me everything I could have ever desired. He gave me and more because I was willing to submit it to him then, because I trusted him then more than I trusted myself.
yeah,
And
that's good.
that's the
That's good.
benefit of going with him rather than
And
going with
letting go.
you.
Letting go. Yeah.
That's what letting go looks like.
Yeah.
It's
No, and that's good.
yeah,
That's good.
best decision I ever made in my life.
Mm, that's
I'm still
confirmation. That's
yeah,
confirmation.
I'm still reaping the benefit of that today. And this is with him, gifts and talents are without repentance. When he gives it to you, his word is more important to him than anything. Your behavior, your actions, other people's actions cannot take away what he gave you when he gives it.
Uh-oh. Let me say this really quick.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know we gotta
You
wrap up.
talked about that decision. Same shower decision. Wasn't about my ambition, it was about my marriage. God said, will you choose me over this marriage? Like, I just got married. So we gonna end it. What you gonna do? Oh God. Two
Yeah,
times. The first time I ain't gonna lie, I was like, no, sir, I just got married. I'm not doing that. Last year, he came back to me in the shower, asked me the same thing. Are you willing to choose me over your marriage? And I said, tearfully, I said, okay, God, yeah, because what I'm doing ain't working. But yeah, I'll give it to you. And as you talk about that, and I'm in the season of letting go, right? I'm still learning how to let go and how to maneuver new skill sets, right? Of how to be married. And when I was turning to my Bible to read Nehemiah, this like it has like these little not sayings, quotes from people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, this don't, I know this was a God thing. And it says, I can learn, because my goal, right? My goal, my why to my marriage is to be a godly wife. That's what keeps me, that's my hook. That's what keeps me going, right? No matter
Mm-hmm.
how he feels, no matter, Lord, help me be a godly wife. Um, and it says, I can learn with God's power and motivation to daily make the choices that will lead me towards my goal of being a godly wife. And for me, where I was like, God, how you just put this in the first chapter of Nehemiah? They don't even go with nothing. Like,
Right.
that was for me, right? I'm like, you're right, that's it. But I think that you could put anything in there, right? It's like I can learn with God's power and motivation to daily make the choices that will lead me towards my goal of fill in the blank.
That's good.
Yeah.
Leading towards my goal.
And so that is my challenge for everybody today is what can you learn that you can do with God's power and motivation so that you can daily make choices that leads you towards your goal, fill in the blank. So that is the challenge that I have for everyone.
Mm. That's really good.
Yeah. So guess the question is, are you ready to let go?
So ready.
Yeah.
Scary and all.
Scared and all. So I enjoyed this episode. I got so many downloads and confirmations. And so our hope is that you got the same. So leave it in the comments.
Yes, please.
What you take away from this and what you'll apply this week.
Yes.
In the story of Nehemiah and learning to lean on God and trust God.
Trust him.
Trust him. What are you trusting God with? Yeah, what are you trusting God with? Share it with us so we can hold you accountable. Yeah. All right. We love y'all. We'll see you
Love
next
y'all.
week.
Till next time. Bye, guys.